This computer, perfect. I'm recording now. I don't need this one. Console. Perfect. I think you can see everything. Yes. So once again, today's webinar, it's about Twine, a fat dissolving product, completely new product on the market. The product which is different from all other products because it's a new technology. It's a stabilized desoxycholic acid. Very safe, very effective. Even if it's injected a little bit superficially, which I do not advise. Of course, I'm going to tell you about how to inject. It's safe to use. I've tried it on hundreds of clients, hundreds of patients. The results are absolutely amazing. So Twine. As I told you, 2% desoxycholic acid lipolytic solution. It comes in the box like this. Inside, you've got 5 vials and 1 vial which is empty in the middle. And this empty vial you can use for dilution of the product because product is so potent. It's 2% of pure desoxycholic acid. You can dilute it to 1% or to 0.5% or to 0.25%, depending on the strength you need. So really from one box, you are able to get not 50 milliliters, but 100 milliliters of 1% desoxycholic acid, which is very effective to use. And this dilution, I'm always using on the first procedure, 1%. So half of the saline, half of the twine. And this I'm using on the first procedure. Then you can proceed to 2% pure desoxycholic acid, but 1% works beautifully. So you're getting absolutely phenomenal amount of the product per box. So as I told you, it was developed recently for aesthetical use for this fat reduction, for the white fat reduction. This is localized fat. So if the client comes to you, the client who's severely overweight, it's not the best solution because this is for the localized fat. So post C-section, the hormonal fat areas, which I'm going to tell you about as well, localized fat, but it's not the slimming solution. So I had a question from one lady, why am I mentioning this? She asked, so is my whole stomach is going to go down? No, it's the local fat removal method. So not the whole stomach, not the whole body is going to get rid of the fat. It's for localized fat, and it's very important. So you could explain it to your clients, so you can explain it to your patients. So the results would be adequate to the treatment. So the results would be real, yeah, and expectation would be real, because there's nothing worse than unreal expectations of the clients. And then it's not about the delivery method, it's not about the drug itself, it's not about the product itself, it's just about unrealistic expectations of the client, of the patient. So this substance was approved by Food and Drug Administration, so FDA, quite a few years ago. As I said, it's approved by Insync Insurance by Zurich in United Kingdom as mesotherapy method for non-medics and intralipotherapy for medics. It's accredited training, which is very, very important. No one else in UK is delivering this training. Only ESDM, as we are the official distributor of this product. And the training, the webinar training, is for those who are already experienced in the fat dissolving in mesotherapy. And if you're already experienced with the purchase of the product, we're going to issue certification. And if you're not, you need to have practical training as well. Okay, next one. This is the white fat tissue. So the desoxycholic acid works in a different way because it works on the cell membrane, it works on the whole fat tissue as well. So it leads to complete destruction of the fat cell. So I'm just going to get something to drink. Complete destruction of the fat cell. That's why the swelling, that's why the bruising, that's why quite a lot of inflammation in the body, because the fat cell, once you inject this hexaholic acid, is expanding and then it ruptures. Fat tissue is very highly vascularized, so the vessels are, you know, all the product, everything what is in the fat cell is destroyed. So lots of inflammation, redness, discomfort for a couple of days. And of course, don't forget that with every single fat removal, whether it's surgical or whether it's lipolysis, you must attend lymphatic drainage sessions. So either it's pressotherapy or it's manual lymphatic drainage, but you should start attending those 4 days later. So adipocytes that are the cells that store natural fat generated by the body. And when the cell membrane is destroyed by lipolytic injection, the stored natural fat is released. So this was what I told you about this, the process. So it expands, it breaks, and it releases the inside of the adipose tissue, adipose cell. WAT, white adipose tissue. It's highly vascularized, as I already told you, contains low amount of water. It's around 18% comparing to other tissues when you can find up to 60% of water. It's a very, very rich tissue. That's why the fat transplants are absolutely amazing, because in adipose tissue, you're going to find such cells as preadipocytes. Adipose tissue can differentiate into adipocytes, fibroblasts, endothelial cells, osteoblasts, myocytes, and even neurons. So a huge variety of the cells which adipose tissue can differentiate to. And if it comes to white adipose tissue, it's like it is just under the skin, but also around internal organs, in central cavities of bones. The main function is, of course, storage of energy, but we should have 6 to 25% of the adipose tissue, and certain areas are more prone to those localized fat accumulation. Very often it's hormonal fat, which I'm going to mention the areas to you in a minute. So the hormonal fat, it's not going to be responding to the dietary restriction. So even if you exercise, even if you go on the diet, there are certain areas like the sides of the legs, so the culotte de cheval, which are not responding to those dietary restrictions, which are not responding to the exercise. So the only way is to remove these fat cells by either lipotherapy or surgical lipolysis, the removal of the fat. What else? Of course, the white adipose tissue insulates body from the extreme temperatures. It provides a cushion for organs as well. But also the brown adipose tissue. Brown adipose tissue is more in fetal life and infancy, located in upper back, above clavicles, around vertebrae, and the main function is to generate the heat. We don't want to touch this one. We are considering removal of the white fat tissue, which is under the skin. So these are white adipose tissue sites, the sites which we can work on. So you can see the arms, the stomach, inner thighs. Please do not work on your bum fats. You need to be really experienced to work with it. Do not remove the fat just from under your bum. I do not recommend it, because you can cause sort of the sagging of the bum, which is not a good effect. But inner thighs, outer thighs, inner knees, which is hormonal fat, stomach area, localized stomach area, arms, chin. Of course, you can work on all those areas. So you can see the main sites on this screen. So the primary fat, hormonal, inner thighs, saddlebags, inner knees, secondary fat, which is linked to the diet. So that's going to be our stomach, flanks, back rolls, and arms. And pathological fat. So for example, batholo hump. So if it's confirmed that it's a fat, I would recommend ultrasound. And then if the medical doctor who provided ultrasound or the specialized person confirmed that it's a fat tissue, you can of course remove the buffalo hump fat which has accumulated on the neck. So as you can see, we can use it in many areas. The results are very quick with this product. Already after the first treatment, you can see the results. I will tell you how much to use, because recently a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, didn't use a lot. He used 1 vial for the whole stomach, so that's not enough really. You need to use appropriate amount to get the results. And as I said, you know, some areas are completely resistant to the exercise, are completely resistant to dietary changes. So this is your answer. This is the answer to I won't say your prayers, but this is the answer which the company has provided you with. So you can use Twine very safely, effectively. This is stabilized 2% desoxycholic acid, and it's a very, very safe and effective procedure. Let me see the next one. Something froze. Okay, so I mentioned this one already. So Twine is made in Italy. As I mentioned before, it's approved for injections in UK via mesotherapy. Desoxycholic acid is the substance which was approved by FDA years and years ago. So it has FDA approval. It's safe and effective to use. Sorry. See. So the patented production technique allows to provide the base concentration of 2% desoxycholic acid. If you would have desoxycholic acid diluted, so if you would have a phosphodiesterone with artichoke, then even if someone states that is 10%, but really diluting it with phosphodiesterone or combining it with those products are diminishing the percentage value. So you are getting absolutely pure desoxycholic acid without any additives. So you also need to consider that desoxycholic acid is the product which works on the destruction of the fat cells of the fat tissue. So the fat tissue is going to regenerate between 2 and 10 years. So you've got long-term results, long-term safe results if it comes to the fat reduction. I mentioned dilution before. So the dilution table, you can take a screenshot of that, or you can take a picture of it. I will also post it on YouTube later on, so you can watch it on YouTube if there is such need. So the Twine effect, 2% desoxycholic acid. So as I said, my favorite one is dilution 50-50. So if you look at the table, 1%, so it's the third one from the bottom. To obtain 1% of the desoxycholic acid, you take 5% of the Twine effect, 2% desoxycholic acid, and 5 milliliter, sorry, not 5%, 5 milliliter of the Twine effect, and 5 milliliter of the injectable saline. For the face, I always use 0.5, so it's 2.5 milliliter of desoxycholic acid and 7.5 milliliter of the water for injection. So as you can see from the box, from 50 milliliters, you really can get 100 milliliters of the lipolytic solution, which is absolutely phenomenal. And the effects are amazing. We've got so many amazing clients. We've got so many amazing clinics who have given us great feedback about it. So let me just check if there are any comments. Brilliant. I can see Magda and Ian watching. Saturday is not the best time, but I really don't have time. So whenever I have time, I'm trying to just jump on Facebook and do a live. So I will post it later as well for everyone to watch. So for me, the most important is that it's a very effective. It's cost effective. It's very effective if it comes to therapies, and it's safe, absolutely safe. We haven't noted any side effects such as necrosis of the skin. The product's been on the market for quite some time now. There's no side effect reported. I'm horrible. I even tried it myself to you know, I do not recommend it. You always need to inject it in the depot tissue. I'm not going to tell you exactly. I will show you the film later on, but you need to have practical training to be able to use this product. If you already are trained in fat dissolving, my guidance is going to be enough for you. I'm more than happy to issue certification, but you must be experienced injector and you must have had practical training in fat dissolving previous to this webinar. If you haven't had the training, I'm happy to give you the training with the huge discount, because normally the training is 650, with the product purchase is £250 only in London. So please feel free to just text me. Now we're taking bookings for January. Okay, so this is the table of the dilution. So depending on your patient's need, you are going to use this dilution table. As I mentioned before, 1% is my favorite. For the body, for the face, I use 0.5% of desoxycholic acid. Now, what can we expect? Procedure: 1 vial for 10 square centimeters, 25 to 20 to 25 injections, so 1 every 2 centimeters. I'm doing 1 every 1 centimeter. That's my favorite one. 0.01 to 0.03 per injection. So if you are not very experienced, or if you're just starting, you can use 1 milliliter syringes where you can see marking very clearly. So each point, each one step of 1, it's going to be 0.01. So we're using 0.01 to 0.03 per injection. If you feel that it's helping, you can mark 10 by 10 square centimeter and mark it every single centimeter. So you do injection every single centimeter. You can mark it with the pen at first, but if you're experienced, you know you have to use 1 vial per 10 by 10 square centimeters. If there's more than 2 centimeters of the fat in pinch test, if there's less than 2 centimeters, I'm using half of the vial. And if there's no fat, just refuse the treatment, because sometimes I'm getting the clients who are desperate to dissolve something, but there's no fat. And we definitely should never dissolve fat on their cheeks. This is not recommended. Please don't do that. Nasolabial fold, don't touch. The only place is under the chin, which you're going to see on the picture, and the body area at the sides of the face, and the body area which were marked before, and you could see those body areas. Always, if you have any questions, you can still ask, and I'm going to be more than happy. Now, mesotherapy needle, 13 millimeter 30G needle, 12 millimeter is the smallest one. I do not recommend any shorter needles. I always put the whole length of the needle. I need to make sure I grab the fat, I pinch it, and I put the whole needle. So what I do, I will put the needle in, I will squeeze 0.01 to 0.03 and wait. So the product wouldn't be following back the needle, because that's the lowest pressure, so the product will follow back. Wait a couple of seconds, remove the needle, do the next injection. Is it painful? It really depends from patient to patient. For some people, they say they don't feel anything, a bit of a warmth. Others, apparently it is painful. If you have been trained in lidocaine use, you can always use lidocaine with the product, but you must be trained in lidocaine use. So for 10 milliliter syringe, 1 milliliter of lidocaine would be used. So what I'm doing, I'm just diluting it in the vial, 10 milliliter vial, and then using 1 milliliter syringes. So I have a couple of syringes ready, and I just use those syringes. It's the fastest and most convenient. And I know that I disperse exactly the same amount of the product. So the empty vial, and there is empty vial. It's not a mistake. I didn't send you the wrong product. The friend of mine once texted me, Agnes, I've got the wrong product. There is an empty vial. This empty vial is for dilution, so you use it for dilution of the product. Intralipotherapy technique with the needle or cannula can be used by medics only in UK. So if you're not a medic, it's approved with mesotherapy method. So the product is very powerful. Even if you dilute it to 1%, you need to remember the product is very powerful. It's a new patented technology, completely new technology, stabilizing desoxycholic acid. So we do not recommend you use them more than 3 vials in one session. The fat is going to be liquidified, then it's going to be passed by liver, kidneys. It's a slow process. Of course, you need to check for any contraindications. So it would be cancer, antibiotics, any autoimmunological disorders which have not been treated or which are not stable. I'm thinking about thyroid. Always get medical advice if someone has autoimmune disorders. Always mark any asymmetrical differences. Remember, our body is not symmetrical. So when you line the person up, mark the areas where you're going to be dissolving this fat. Draw the lines. I'm showing it to you on the practical training, how to mark the areas properly. Take photographic evidence, because after this procedure, clients often look in the mirror more often. And if they were not symmetrical before, and they're going to start all of a sudden observing the area, they're going to come back to you, they're going to say, oh, listen, you dissolved more fat on one side than the other. No, I didn't. You were not symmetrical in the first place. So very, very important photographic evidence marking. So you take the photograph once you marked the area. So I always draw the line, the vertical line in the middle of the body, and then horizontal line. And then from those 2 lines, I'm marking the area. Please remember that lymphatic drainage is a must. I always advise 2 sessions a week. Drink water, moderate exercise. Of course, you won't be able to exercise for the first 2-3 days because you're going to be quite sore and swollen, and you probably won't fit into your old jeans, but it's just for 2-3 days. And after that, the results are just incredible. Okay, I managed this one. So 10 by 10 area, half of the vial if it's less than 2.5 centimeters of the fat. If it's more, that's the whole vial. 1 treatment every 4 weeks. And hormonal fat areas, 1 treatment every 6 weeks, or when the inflammation subsided. So if there's no redness, there's no swelling, then you can do another treatment. Phase, I dilute the product 0.5 usually, maximum 4 milliliters under the chin and 1.5 milliliter on each side. And that's a little video of the procedure. So the first one is with the cannula, and the next one is with mesotherapy method. I'm not using lidocaine with this treatment. It was really painless. Well, at least that's what the client said. She didn't feel any pain. It was very fast with the cannula. Maybe I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Sorry. Oh, see what I did. Told you I'm absolutely useless with. Okay, and that's mesotherapy method. Let's start with this one. See, so I'm inserting almost the whole needle, 30 millimeters needle. So I'm marking the area, I'm pinching it to move it away from any facial structures, and then I'm injecting 0.01 per injection. So maximum 1.5 millimeter on the side. So you see immediate redness, a little bit of swelling later on. But I'm always pulling it away, as you could see. And this is what you would do with the body as well. You can feel a little bit of numbness for a couple of days, or even I felt it for a couple of weeks. A little bit of numbness in chin area, like needles and pins, but it all passed. It was all absolutely fine. If you inject too much of the product, you can cause like a little granules, but they are self-dissolving after some time, so don't worry about that. But if you're injecting as recommended 0.01 to 0.03, it's absolutely safe. Okay, that's it. So during the first week after the treatment, the treated area may swell, turn red, tender, and bruised. Of course, you can bruise someone. At the end of the day, you're inserting a needle into the body. This oxalic acid is causing inflammation, is causing rupture of the fat cells, it's causing the fat cells are liquidifying. So your body will be tender, will be swollen a little bit, might be a bit bruised. It all goes away. Do not worry about that. If you're worried about anything, just send me the pictures, and 99.9% of the time I'm going to tell you it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Lymphatic drainage is a must. Start on the 4th day. 2 massages a week, it's recommended. And the results. So that's 1 session. So we were focusing on the cellulite as well here. That's absolutely amazing. That's 2 sessions. 3 sessions. It's localized fat. So if you see the difference in the stomach, it's a huge difference, but it's a localized fat, yeah? That's 2 sessions. 2 sessions as well. And 2 sessions. So that's it from me. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Try the product. It's absolutely amazing. As I said, you are getting huge value for your money. You're getting safe, effective product. Only technology in the world, which is patented technology, which allows for the desoxycholic acid to be in its pure form, in a stabilized form. Stabilized form, it's much bigger safety, it's much bigger efficacy, and you can find it on estderm.co.uk. And if you have any questions, just text me. Have a lovely afternoon. Talk to you soon.